It's 5:30, January 26, 2020. I call to order the City of Kennedy's special City Council meeting. A quorum is present. Amanda, please call roll.
Councilor Briones?
Present.
Councilor Wynn?
Here.
Councilor Conlon?
Here.
Councilor Meyer?
Here.
One absent.
Thank you. Leslie, would you say the prayer, please?
Well, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to serve, for the opportunity to do what you called us to do. We ask that you would give us wisdom, knowledge, courage, and understanding to accomplish that task. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anyone sign up for public comments?
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak under public comment that did not have the opportunity to speak under public comment? No? Okay. Item number 6, consideration and possible action to approve the designation of an interim city manager. Does anybody have a presentation on that?
Mr. Shaver is here if anyone has any questions for him.
Okay, great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Mayor. Hope you are,
Yes, sir.
and hope you all are also. Mayor?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Just a word of introduction. My name's Dick Shaver. I live near Houston. I'm basically an independent contractor and consultant, and I do municipal administration. I do construction management, project management, that type of thing. And I was contacted by SGR Resources, asking, they were indicating that you all were in need of a interim city manager. And they asked that I present myself and asked you to consider the qualifications. I don't know if you all have seen any of my paperwork or resume or any of that.
I have.
Okay. But basically, as I said, I'm a former city manager several times over. City manager at Fritz, Texas, Cleveland, Texas, Anahuac, Texas. And I've served several positions as interim city manager over the last few years. Probably the closest to here was over at George West a couple of years back. I served down there for a few months as city manager. And this is just kind of what I do. I have a master's degree, certified public manager, certified project manager, about 30, getting on 35 years total experience, which about 2/3 of that's been in municipal. I started out in public works. I was public works director. I've been public works director for 3 cities, as well as everything I've discussed up to this point. Personal life, faith, and family. My wife and I just celebrated 40 years. Kids are all grown and on their own and got their education. Both my boys are veterans, as I am. And, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I'm glad to answer any questions, and I would just want to thank you just for considering the possibility of using me as your interim city manager, if that's your will.
We appreciate you guys driving down here. I do have a question or two, and hopefully these guys have a question or two. Did you apply previously with Max Westbrooks and Associates?
For
For
city
the city
manager, here,
manager, for permanent city manager employment?
I sent them a resume. I believe it was for an interim type of review.
Okay.
I did apply here about 4 or 5 years ago. Y'all had an opening. And like I say, I worked at George West for a short while, and that kind of thing.
Okay. I just noticed, I saw a deck shaver, maybe it's a different one, in the qualification packets or the resume packets for the city manager's position several months ago. And I want to make sure that if it's the same person, I'm talking to the
Yes.
same person that I read about.
It is the same person? Yes, sir.
Okay, so you guys did receive his resume
I have some information I'd gladly give out.
Okay,
That would be helpful.
Yes, sir.
okay. Did y'all get the resume on the last email?
On the last email?
Yeah, no? Amanda, did they not get the resume?
Yes, I sent it, it was the agenda last week.
And this is just some generic information on my consulting services.
Oh, yeah, it is here. It's just attached to it. It doesn't say anything different. It just,
Okay.
That's just some generic information on my little consulting service.
I recognized the name, and I said, man, that's familiar, so I went back through the applications and I saw it. You guys have any questions for him?
As far as housing goes, are we looking at doing hotel accommodations or negotiating that with the Smiley House?
We have not spoken yet, but I did find an apartment in Kenedy
Okay.
that it's more than Smiley, but it'd be less than
Traveling.
than the hotel cost. But we haven't had a chance to discuss any of that, to see what he prefers.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer to have a room during the week, or like a hotel room, or if they could find you an apartment or something here in town, which would you prefer?
I think the second thing, they're usually a little cheaper. Usually, I don't know.
apartment.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And is it just you and your wife, or do you have pets or anything like that? Because the last person, they had a dog, and we had to accommodate for that. I just want to make sure we get you covered.
It would just be myself. My wife's still working.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She's a corrections nurse.
Oh, okay.
Okay. In fact, she once upon a time was going to go to work at Connery, but she ended up somewhere else. But anyway, she's working. So it would just be myself now.
Just yourself. Okay.
I don't have any pets. Just if I may, 1 second on this little item. Just again, introduction. It says right on the front, project management, public administration. That's what I do. The inside page on that left-hand side, that's just some of my bio and history. On the right-hand side of the inside is just, again, I've already gone through most of this, but it's just some of the things that I do. I spend about half my time doing municipal consulting, interim services, and about half of my time doing construction projects, doing inspection and project management, and that type of thing. So, and on the very back page, right at the top, is just a statement of some of the projects that I've been involved in, and right there at the top you can see interim city management, Glen Heights, George West, Arcola. I've also done a couple of tours as interim public works director, most recently the city of Lamarck in Galveston County. I was over there for about 6 months last year. So
We are just in the beginnings of getting some new water through another source. I don't know how fast we're going to hire somebody, but
Right.
you may touch on that and
Sure.
get us continuous going in the way we want to go, because we want to keep going at the pace we're at. And you're okay with that? Just jump in it. And I know you probably have to look at everything that we've done so far, but just know that that's the big thing we're working on
Right.
right now, and you may dabble in that before we get somebody hired.
Right, yes ma'am, I understand you're exploring a new well field and bring your high service lines down the railroad right of way here to town.
Yes, sir.
Through your delivery system. I understand that the city, currently the water system works off 3 pressure zones, or maybe you cut that down to 2 now, which is better. And driving around town today, I did see quite a number of open cuts and recent repairs. Looked like some water main work going on around town, a couple of different locations. Yeah, again, construction management, that's half of what I do.
Okay.
So,
Just so you know that when you come in, you may, jump in right into that. I mean, like I said, I don't know
Sure.
how soon we're gonna hire and after we've looked at applicants and all, but just so you know that you may touch in and help with that is, because we kind of want to
Certainly.
keep that flow going with that project.
absolutely. Like I said, early in my career, I started out in public works, way back when, 30 years ago. I worked water and sewer. I was Cross B certified. I don't have those anymore. That was 30 years ago. But I have not an expert by any means, but I have a pretty fair background in utilities and public works.
Have you ever jumped into a interim position like you're about to jump in now, where there's multiple projects going on in the city? We have East Main, we've got the sports complex, we've got the water project, and others that are going on. Have you ever jumped into something like this and just take it by the reins and go? Or are you gonna need some more information to get going? Where do you stand at this point?
No, I feel like I'd be ready to get started again, after a couple decades in the business. That's, in my experience, that's the rule rather than the exception, because all of our towns, every town I've been to, we're just behind on infrastructure. And TCQ regulations are just getting stronger and stronger, seems like every year. And infrastructure's getting older, pipes are breaking, and it's just constant.
So I do have a question. Are you considering with this interim position possibly going full-time if the council decided to hire you? Is that something you're considering at all, or at this point you're just looking at it privately as far as the interim position?
The short answer is, you never say never,
Okay.
okay? But my primary emphasis and primary reason for being before you here this evening is an interim assignment.
Yes.
So, that being said, with your name being in, what, wasn't his name one of the applicants?
Yes, sir.
So you wouldn't want to be considered for the permanent position?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I think we,
I think that would be good. So now the real thing, we need to have a motion.
Yeah, you're all talking away.
yes.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we consider item 6 on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, now we can discuss.
Yeah. But I don't think that whoever we set for the interim should, I don't know that, I think that gives an unfair advantage to the other candidates.
And I was just curious because his resume kind of checks off a lot of things that we were
Yeah.
looking for. So.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that, but I just think that the interim, but it's just my thought.
What is the time frame we're looking at?
I don't think we.
Do we have a time
We don't
frame
have
for him?
I don't think we
He can be
talked-
here till we're completely done looking for a.
We're gonna talk about that on item 8.
Set the
Yeah.
time for, yeah.
So when would you be able to start here as the interim city manager?
I'm
Tomorrow?
here. If y'all need somebody to start, I'm here. As you want.
I don't know how long, like I said, I don't know, we don't really have a timeline yet as to who we're gonna hire, but do you have a deadline that you need to meet, that you can only be here for so many weeks or months, or, I mean, I don't know what the timeline is yet, but I just wanna make sure that we don't interrupt if there's something that you have going on later down in the future.
No, ma'am, no. I don't have any particular deadlines coming up. I've got some other prospects out there that I do one assignment at a time. And if y'all choose to, we can talk about that a little bit. You know, I just, off the top of my head, these things usually go 3 to 6 months. So.
And you're clear for the next 3 to 6 months? You're
Yes, sir.
fairly clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Something for you guys to consider, which we haven't done previously, is whoever you decide to hire as the interim, I think we need to swear them in some capacity to protect the city. And then also, we need to request a bond be posted. And I understand our ordinance calls for the city to make the payment for that bond, and I'm okay with that. But in the event that there's damages, we have to protect ourselves. Just something to consider. Does anybody have any idea what they want to do?
I'd recommend if you're going to approve item 6, include Mr. Shaver's name, Vic Shaver as interim city manager.
Okay.
Well then, I'll make a motion that we approve Dex Shaver as the interim city manager. Would y'all like to swear him in right now, or do y'all want to do that at a different time?
I'd like to do it tonight.
And in that motion, let's go ahead and have Amanda swear him in and then get a bond issued for Mr. Shaver.
I'll second that motion.
1 second, how much are you asking for on the bond?
What is,
I'm uncertain about them.
Well, you could approve a bond, and there's a standing amount that covers the interim city managers. Also, the agreement that he, accepting Mr. Shaver, I guess it'd be through the yeah, that'll be their standard contract, I would imagine. Provides for certain occasions of indemnification.
Okay.
Things like that, so you'll be covered both ways, in a sense.
So should we just say the standard amount for the bond? At this point, should we just say that in this motion?
Yeah, bond is to be required by state law, so you don't have to mention the bond because the
Okay.
bond is going to be required anyway.
Okay.
But we didn't get one on the last one.
Well, that I don't have emailed anymore. There's any bond that is required, you can preface the.
Okay.
the-
Okay, what is the motion?
So the motion would be to hire Dex Schaefer as the interim city manager, have Amanda swear him in once this gets approved, and then have him bonded for city manager Kennedy, if required.
If required.
There we go.
And I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Excuse me,
Yes.
if Mr. Vella applied for the position, couldn't he do also a presentation for an interim as well? He presented his resume and everything already.
He wants to be considered for the permanent position, I believe.
Well, why, you gave him the option that if he would go from interim into,
No, this is just
No,
interim.
This is just
on
interim
This is
that
just-
we're talking about.
to
And-
replace the other man.
Yes.
That's correct.
And then, would it carry over to
No, you would have to talk to the city secretary or the city council. This is just interim. That's the
yeah, this
agenda
is just for
says.
interim,
That's
but
correct.
it would get,
It-
let's
it-
say, the foot in the door for,
All I can say is
permanent.
this is just for the interim position, and I think he indicated he was not interested in the permanent position.
The procedure is just not clear.
Well, the agenda says interim, so it's interim.
If there's no other discussion, please call it.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes, thank you.
I don't know. We have a public comment that wants to know if we can go back so we can say something during open public comment.
Okay, you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. Just sworn in shortly.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. My name is Allison Lopez. I am a citizen of Kenedy, and I'm coming before y'all today to address my concern as far as the water and waste service extensions that y'all will be later discussing. As a citizen of Kenedy, approximately about a year ago, I decided to purchase a mobile home for myself and my family, and had to deal a lot with the city. This was a process that took me approximately 5 months, which was very long and tedious. Through this process, the city ordinances and rules that were set in place that I had to follow, I was required to basically make sure that I had water and sewer that the city could not locate, that I myself as a woman had to locate. I had to have city officials go out there, mark lines for boundaries of my property as to what I could build inside, and then have the construction person from Clayton Homes come in and basically lay out plans for construction before I was given any permits to be able to build on my lot. I went through a very long and tedious process to try to get these things taken care of, and since then I've had, of course, several issues, not only with the water and sewer, but just issues in general with the construction that went on with my home. several failed inspections with the sewer, with the leveling from the city, that in return cost me a lot of money, cost the company money, myself money, and my family money. So my concern today is very simple. I'm just want to know exactly what exactly is the city of Kenedy doing to ensure that fairness and equality across every citizen here in Texas is being followed when it comes to building with the city ordinances, with the city rules, what we're doing to put in place to make sure that it is being followed across the board for every citizen here in Kenedy, to where we have all of the same fairness as far as building. What took me 5 minutes, I can drive around and see that it takes people much less time. You know, I had to go through leaps and bounds before I could even get a permit to build. And so my concern is, what exactly is the city of Kenedy doing to ensure that every citizen here is treated fairly, and that favoritism and bias is not something that will prevail for certain citizens here of Kenedy? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, did y'all want to swear Mr. Shaver in now? You want to wait until after the
Can we
meeting?
wait till we finish the meeting?
Okay, that sounds good. Item number 8, consideration and possible action regarding the hiring process for city manager. I'm sorry. Number 7, consideration and possible action regarding all fees, including mileage submitted by Max Westbrook from September 2019 to date. I just want you guys to have exactly what we spent, that's all. Does anybody know right now what we spent?
What they told us at the last meeting.
I know, but let's make sure that that's what we got. Let's don't guess, let's know.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion we consider agenda item number 7.
and I'll second that.
Do we have those available?
Let me get my laptop real quick and I can add it.
I just want you guys to know.
I appreciate that. And my understanding is we were only gonna pay the $600 that we were paying already. We weren't gonna pay any additional mileage. That was my understanding.
Yeah, and my understanding was we weren't gonna do anything until the next meeting. But I don't know, I'm not the legal guy, I'm not the attorney, so I can't, you know.
Okay, well, let's see what the number is. 'Cause
I just
that
wanna,
was-
yeah,
that
I
was
wanna make
my-
sure that we're not spending more than what we were supposed to spend.
When do we start doing, working with Max Westbrook?
No, start allowing the mileage. I know we brought it into the meeting.
I believe August,
Are you talking about Mike Westbrook or Chris Bratton?
the whole entire contract, Max Westbrook and
Okay.
Consultants.
I can tell you, yeah, it was about Max Westbrook first, that's all the city manager search, everything has to do with the
Okay.
hiring process, and then I can tell you how much we spent with Mr. Bratton. Okay, for Max Westbrook Consulting with traveling expenses and everything was $16,820.39.
God.
How much?
$16,820.39.
Can we have a printout of that next week sometime, please?
And I can actually break down what was actually their expenses and then how much was for their services.
And that was for how many months?
That was from September to
Till
January.
January,
Yes, sir.
okay.
Okay, and then with,
Mr. Bratton, I can,
and this is in addition to, correct?
yes.
Damn.
What were we supposed to spend?
I believe the contract was
I thought I heard 12,000 a while ago.
With Mr. Brent, it was $32,499.90.
That's the total,
Yes, sir.
32,
$499.90.
Now, is that salary alone, or is that salary, mileage, housing?
that's everything.
Yes. Well, housing is separate because the city paid for his housing, so this doesn't include housing. This just includes his salary and mileage.
Okay, and then the 16,000, what did that include? That include the going through all the applications?
Yes, the interview process, the hotel stays, meals.
But 32 was the total for everything, both the 16 and
No,
the...
that was 32 was just Mr. Bratton and his mileage.
So it'd be the 32 and 16.
Plus the 16.
Yes.
And what was the contract amount for Maxwell?
So it was not to exceed 12,000.
12,000.
How did we get here? How do we get to $50,000, $48,000 plus cost of living? Where was the oversight? Do we know? Does anybody have any idea? I know y'all think I'm a bad guy, but this is why I throw fits. We thought we were spending $12,000. We're spending $50,000.
Did they notify the city that they were starting to exceed the $12,000 mark?
They kept contact with Mr. Bratton, and they didn't even send me their invoices directly. They would send them to Mr. Bratton, and he would sign off on them. So.
Wow.
So the contract was for 12, but we spent 16 in the 12. The contract was just for their services, not what was in Bratton's part, right?
No.
That was separate.
That was separate.
But we went over the 12.
Yes.
Why?
Because Mr. Bratton would bring me invoices and sign and tell me to pay them. I mean, there were some invoices before that I would question, not with Matt Clifford, but say with his personal ones or whatever, I'd bring them to him and question them, but in the end, if he told me to pay them, I paid them.
So in code, because that's the system you're using, right?
Yes.
So in code, was there a specific line item dedicated to just the consulting services?
It came out of the salaries.
Okay.
Question. The $600 for mileage, is that what we had for, is that what we know, that's what we were normally paying to the city manager, was
Yes.
$600, right? So,
But they were including that in that 32,000.
right.
Okay.
I was just figuring to see what we would have paid a city manager in salaries for that 5-month period of time. We still exceeded that.
And we didn't get anywhere. We regressed. My main deal is oversight, guys. We set the rules, and we hire a city manager to come up here, and they're here for oversight. They're here to manage the
Yeah,
city.
that city manager should have made us aware of this well, in 2 months in, we should have been aware of it, but that didn't happen. So we can't let this happen. What the mayor is getting at is we can't let this happen again.
And I agree, and
I'm not okay with just not letting it happen again. I want us to make certain it doesn't happen again, and I want to know how do we get here legally? How does the city pay more than what's in the agreement? That's what I want to know.
Because the person that was involved with the agreement was approving the checks.
So is that legal? That's going to be my next question.
That's pursuant to the terms of the contract.
Well, I would give the city's legal team direction to look into that, is what I would do. It's not right. We expect this well.
Max Consulting should reimburse us for what it went over the contract, because in reality, the person that was managing the contract was his employee. Right? Because
At bare minimum, once that 12,000 hit, it should have came back.
It
to
should have
council
came back to
and
council.
said, hey,
We're going over, or we're close to going over, or
we
something.
need to extend it by X amount of dollars.
You know, I've sat up here just like you guys have for almost 2 years, and we've been accused of doing things that aren't right, things that are illegal, violating our own ordinances, and not anybody up here has done anything like that. But we're the ones that take that heat. When we knocked on those doors, we told people we were gonna do the right thing. This is not the right thing.
Amen.
I agree. I don't think you'll get any argument from any of us here.
Well,
Because
I know I won't. I
You
just
know,
think
it
that
just-
sometimes people don't share with you guys what they should be sharing. And when I try to get the information, there's a brick wall. I'm not having a brick wall because look at my box over there full of stuff. It says Honorable Mayor James D. Sutton. That's who gets the heat on it. So it has to stop today. No matter what it is, I've said it over and over. We need to take a look at what's going on at City Hall. We really, truly do.
So with all these fees with Max Westbrook, Amanda, have you had an opportunity to talk to them to see if they'll finally come back down and do a final presentation?
Yes, I was gonna talk to him about that on item 8.
Oh, okay, I'm
I
sorry.
can say item 8.
Let's wait until 8. You guys are free to make any motion that you would like to make for item number 7. Don't feel like you have to do anything that I've asked you to do.
Well, I really do want legal to look into, I mean, we're paying for legal counseling, so I think legal should look into this because the person that approved it was the same person that worked for the company that we were using, and he knew what the budget was, and he never came back to us at no time, and said, you've exceeded this number.
So can you get all that together for legal counsel, everything that they signed off on, everything that we paid, where we came up with that 16? We need to see everything where it went.
First, just a contract before I get all that other stuff.
I have a contract right
Okay. Is it emailed to you?
Do you remember when I threw the fit about having employees as a signator on the checking account? He didn't have anything to do with this, and it's nothing with the employee that's a signator, but it is not recommended by any city that you have an employee that can sign checks. You just don't do it. It's something you don't do. It's not your money. I mean, so at the next meeting, I would rescind all that. I would take that away. Y'all, we don't even know. You should know about every check that goes on. Instead, you don't have to. You get an employee and one of us to go sign, then nobody else knows what happens. It's not right. But anyway, go ahead with your motion.
Is there any way we can see the actual contract, what Max Westbrook,
Well, that's what she sent it to the attorney right now.
Yeah,
so you can review that, I mean, can we all see it, or just the attorney see
No,
it?
she could send it to
I
you.
can send it to you.
We all have it, I believe.
Yeah, we all
Please
have
resend it again.
Anyway, my motion is going to be that the city attorney would research that the contract and the actions that was taken that got us to this point and bring us a presentation that we can take some stronger action on at our next meeting or the next meeting after that.
And if I can add just one part to that, and can we find out if we're financially responsible for paying the excess over that $4,000?
Yeah, it's what the term of the contract says.
Right.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Connor?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Motion passes, thank you. Item number 8, consideration of possible action regarding the hiring process for city manager, setting a time frame, interviewing candidates, and qualifications council seeks for position.
I'll make a motion, we consider agenda item number 8.
And I'll second that.
Discussion. I just think that it's important, just because people tell us, hey, we're gonna come up here and we're gonna spend 6 months and we're gonna milk the city dry, what are we gonna do? We have a stack of applications.
Right.
Let's figure out what we wanna do. Did you get an interview, Mr. Shaver? From, you don't have to get up. Did you receive an interview when you initially applied with Max Westbrook Consultants? Okay, thank you. We have the applications, let's decide what we want to do. And if we are using this firm, that's great. But let's expedite things. Let's don't spend another 6 months and $100,000. Let's get this thing taken care of.
Did Max Westbrook say anything about giving a final presentation?
I emailed, well, I had called Bruce, and then he emailed me back, and he said that he would be willing to come for me to confirm a date and time that you would like for me to visit with council, hopefully an executive session to explain our selection process and the vetting of the city manager applicants. Please confirm that the city of Kenedy understands that I will charge our contract rate of $75 per hour plus necessary expenses for travel and hotel.
Yeah, right.
I'm not gonna be able to.
I say we just put the attorneys to take care of that. We've already overpaid. We need to know what we paid for. We really truly do. If they disqualify people, we need to know. We paid for that service. The taxpayers paid for the service.
And we need to come up with a mindset of what we're going to do on the applications that we've already received. We need to review them, set up interviews. First of all, we need to review them and set up interviews so that we can, because we own the applications now. They're ours.
Can you print them all out for me instead of looking through, because I'd like to write on them if I see something instead of looking through it. Can you print them all
Yes.
for me? So how many do we want to, each of us pull from? I mean, do we all want to pick 10, or do we want to look at them all together and sit down and say, okay, yes, I like this one because of this?
If we
or-
do that, it'll be an executive session.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, so, if, you know,
Let's
this parse
all
the amount of
pick.
time that you'll be.
Let's all pick 10.
10 each?
10 each.
Okay.
And then in executive session, we will see
Look
how
at
many of
together.
those 10 overlap. And the goal will be to come up with 5 solid applicants
Okay.
that we all will interview at that point.
Can we set a date today to meet and do this?
Yes.
I mean, I hate to be pushy, we need to
No, man,
expedite
be
this thing.
the mayor, be the leader. You're good. Just don't worry about it.
So our,
Because we got to get this done. You know, they're going to call us what they're going to call us, but you got to do what we got to do.
the next time we meet as a council regularly is February 11th.
Yeah.
So are we wanting to interview the top 5 on February the 11th?
No, because we still have to get together and look at the 10 that we all choose individually.
Well, I guess that's, what are y'all looking at? 1 to 2 months to get to the top 5 interview? Or are y'all trying to?
I would like to see us get to the top 5 by mid-February,
Okay.
so that by March the 10th, we're looking at those 5.
So we could possibly have somebody hired within 45 days, 60?
45 to 60 days max. We should have somebody hired permanently in place.
That sounds good to me.
So on the 11th, do you want to meet and discuss in closed session the 10 that we've all chosen individually?
Or is the 11th going to be?
The
a
11th
solid
probably would
meeting?
not be a good time to do that. We need to do it on another day, because that would tie up the entire meeting, and there's other stuff that we got to cover on the 11th. But we can set another meeting to do that,
You can set a special
a
meeting.
special meeting just for that.
One item agenda.
One item agenda, it's just for that. It's going to be an executive session because of all the privacy laws, and there's nothing we can do about that. It has to be that way. And,
And then once you come out of executive session, you could have a motion to direct the city secretary to schedule the
interviews for the 5 that we've chosen.
That's correct.
What about,
Well, it's,
that's right. I was thinking this
you,
Friday.
what you do is come in an open session, have open discussion, and then discuss the 5, and then you direct.
Okay.
So you won't make, it would be the decision for those would be in open session.
Okay.
So what about Thursday, February 13th? And that be when we come in with our top 10 applicants.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm good with that.
13.
So we'll need a meeting for February 13th for just the, to discuss the 10 that we've all, to narrow it down to 5.
Okay, is there anything else you want to do on here?
At what time?
Yeah, what time we gonna make that meeting?
Do we just typical
Say
6 o'clock?
Works for me. Okay, if there's any action that you guys want to take, I'll entertain it now.
You said February 13th.
How many applications do y'all have?
Approximately 25, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
25?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, no motion or anything?
So,
Let's see, do we,
so in that March meeting on the 10th, that's not the day we're gonna actually hire, we're gonna pick another day to hire them, right? We have to take care of business on the regular council meeting?
That way we can sit down and actually do
Just get in
interviews
there.
with the top 5.
Right.
This is your city, Brandon. This city belongs to you guys. So you have, if that doesn't work and you need an extra meeting, get an extra meeting. If you need to have a meeting
I say we
prior
just
to
do
that,
I say we do a separate meeting outside the 10th of that regular council meeting to do the hiring and interviewing.
So do you want to just maybe on the 13th, discuss the 10 that we all pick and narrow it down to 5, and then on that day we can decide, okay,
The next date, we're
the
gonna hire
next date
this.
to decide how we're going to interview them so we can get a hold of these people.
yeah,
So
That'll
we can
work
wait
better.
to set that date.
yeah.
More or less, it seems like just staff direction on this one.
Right.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
okay. Are we ready to move on to the next item?
Yes, sir.
Item number 8, no action. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding water and wastewater service extensions, simple service taps, city ordinances pertaining to the application and permit of such, and TCEQ requirements for private lift stations. Okay, I'm going to open with this thing. This is, in my opinion, there's been other people in the city that have asked for service extensions. Lavon Murphy Guzman was one, and I believe you guys recall, and she was denied because of the private lift station happened to be put on her property. Those things require permits and such, right? There are legal ways to get these services, and I feel like on our end, on the city's end, the last few months, we're not following our own ordinances, and we put ordinances out for everybody in the public. And in reality, it's not right to the consumer because we're taking their money, we're receiving their money, and we're giving them no permit. We're only giving them an application for a permit with no permit number. And we're also ignoring our own ordinances. We go through there and we tell them it's okay to do this, but in reality, 6 months down the road, when they're ready to do the next step, they're not going to be able to do the next step because we dropped the ball initially.
I'd like to request executive session so we can go over the current procedures that the city is going through and then answer the legal questions. And then come back to
open session.
come back to open session to discuss the I guess with regard to the instances that the mayor wants to discuss with particular individuals.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we go to closed session.
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion?
Person names?
If there's no other discussion, call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Conley?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to go to closed
Yes.
session. I'd love to stay in open session. The public deserves to hear this stuff, but when the man wants to do it and the people make the motion, I have no choice.
As a people you're gonna be talking about?
Motion passed.
We're now.
Should we go back to open session?
I'll
Second,
second that.
call the roll.
Counselor Briones?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Conley?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer? All
Yes.
in favor?
You
Thank
need
you.
the city's iPad back up. That's what it's-
I don't know, Dolphin. I don't watch TV. I don't have time for that.
I know I thought this was going to be a 30-minute trip.
I wanted it to, but this was some important stuff, and I just feel like we needed to expedite them.
Well, we think you divide by the population, like they use that. It's kind of interesting. Before we adjourn,
Oh, yes.
Okay. Item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding water and wastewater service extensions, simple service taps, city ordinances pertaining to the application and permit of such, and TCEQ requirements for private lift stations. Any movement?
Make a motion that we consider item 9 on the agenda.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Okay. Well, we need to discuss what we have discovered, that we need to get more information about our ordinance, the TCEQ requirements, and be able to put that into a format that is something that we can give to the citizens.
So you want to make a motion?
So I'm going to make a motion that the city engineer and the city attorney is going to gather the necessary information so that we can be able to have a water and wastewater service extension information, the ordinance pertaining to the application for the permits for that system, and the TCEQ requirements for that lift station.
I'll second that.
Discussion, any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you.
And for the council to have an amend item 6 with regard to the interim city manager starting tomorrow.
Okay, item number 6, consideration of possible action to approve the designation of Deck Shaver as interim city manager. Motion.
Motion to amend the part.
I'll make a motion that we amend item number 6, consideration and possible action to approve the designation of the interim city manager, Deck Schaefer, to be effective starting January 27, 2020.
And I'll second that.
Any other discussion? If there's no other discussion, please call the roll.
Counselor Bionis?
Yes.
Counselor Wynn?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Meyer?
Yes.
All in favor?
Thank you. Okay, we need to swear Deck in. Are you prepared to do that?
I can put them out real quick.
Okay, if you'll give us a couple of minutes, we'll swear you in.
Yeah, I'm about to, yeah. Oh, it's on my agenda.
Hey, Adolfo. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Watch that.
I need to have a meeting pretty soon, so we can recover some property that belongs to the city. It's in Smiley, Texas.
Smile?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what are we waiting on now?
Chief went to go get the paper.
Oh, I know it by heart, let me have it. No. They had to translate mine for me. Thank you.
I just need to print out the statement.
Quick print, I'll get it.
So the 713 number, is that a good contact number for you?
Yes, sir.
some reason you need to contact me, personal cell phone, city phone.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
you. Hey, thanks, Dave. Appreciate you coming, man.
Yeah, sure. Anytime.
We'll see you tomorrow, right?
I'll be back tomorrow night.
There you are. We have
Special
some
projects
stuff.
tomorrow night.
I got a lot of stuff in the day tomorrow.
What does that mean?
That means A, B, and C. I mean, we can't wait.
Why not?
Sean's supposed to be here tonight.
Well, I don't know if Lou or Craig are coming, but I'm sure.
That's okay. We gotta get moving.
There.
Yeah, I need to come with this. So I can read it. Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Dick Shaver,
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of city manager for the city of Kenedy.
of the office of city manager for
The city of Kenedy.
City of Kenedy,
In the state of
in the
Texas.
state of Texas,
And will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of the state, so help me God.
of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
Now your statement. I state your name.
I, Dick Shaver,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
offered, promised to pay,
offered, or promised to pay,
contributed, or promised to contribute any money
contributed, or promised to contribute any money
or thing of value,
or things of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public office or employment
for the giving or withholding of, wait, you weren't voting, I'm sorry. Or for the giving or withholding of a vote of council, which I was elected, I can't think of
for the giving,
Appointed.
it. Appointed, there you go. I couldn't think of the word.
say it again, please.
For the giving or withholding of a vote
For the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election of which I was appointed.
It was an election. When
at the
you were
action-
appointed. Yeah.
Okay,
the action
okay.
for which I was appointed,
Or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation.
or as a reward to
To
assure.
secure
to
my
secure
appointment or
my appointment
confirmation.
or confirmation,
Whichever the case may be.
whichever the case may be.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's for both of you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.